Could you be drinking too much? Canada has new guidance when it comes to alcohol consumption.
People who use alcohol should consider reducing their alcohol use as much as possible.
Sometimes I wake up in the morning, I'm like, why would I do this to myself?
Researchers find any more than 2 drinks a week could put you at risk of certain cancers. Is it time to put warning labels on bottles? Plus,
there's like a million things I could be doing right now other than sitting in my car.
Toronto has been ranked as the 7th most congested city in the world. A look at the most congested intersections in the city and what's being done to ease those traffic woes. And
this is our outfield district, foul pole to foul pole, and we want fans to experience it.
The Rogers Centre is in the midst of a major makeover, a sneak peek at the renovations that are on track to offer Jays fans a whole new experience come spring. Good evening, I'm Kelda Yoon. There's new guidance when it comes to alcohol consumption, and it may make you rethink your drinking habits. The Canadian Centre on Substance Abuse and Addiction says no amount of alcohol is completely safe, and consuming any more than just 2 drinks a week increases your risk of cancer. It's their strongest warning yet. Dale Manukduk has more on their findings.
2 drinks a week? How about 1 per period at the hockey game? That's the plan for some fans in attendance.
How many drinks do you plan to throw back?
Oh, as much as I can. I have only a certain amount of money, but I'll try and get as much in there.
I don't know, I felt, sometimes I drink and I just wonder, do I really need this?
Well, according to the Canadian Centre on Substance Abuse and Addiction, the answer is a resounding no.
Our main recommendation is that people who use alcohol should consider reducing their alcohol use as much as possible.
What about this age-old saying?
Glass of wine a day keeps the doctor away.
Not so fast. The CCSA's new advice reflects thousands of studies in the last decade that link even small amounts of alcohol to several types of cancer. Any more than 2 standard-sized drinks per week could be risky. What's a standard drink? A 1.5-ounce shot of the hard stuff, a small glass of wine, or a bottle of beer.
If you take between 3 to 6 standard drinks per week, your risk of premature death would be moderate. And then, of course, 7 drinks or more per week, then you enter the high risk zone.
It's a dramatic shift from the CCSA's previous guidance released in 2011, which recommended no more than 15 drinks for men and 10 drinks for women per week to reduce long-term health risks.
I mean, you could argue that relaxing is good for your health, so if part of drinking socially is conducive for relaxing, then maybe that is a good thing.
Nevertheless, the CCSA is now calling for warning labels that inform people of how many standard drinks are in each container and warning them of the cancer risk. For those wanting an alternative to drinking but still want the social dynamic of it, non-alcoholic bars might be the place to be.
Whether I'm stopped because I'm living a sober lifestyle, I'm in recovery, and also there are people who don't drink for religious reasons and lifestyle choices like myself. So there's so many reasons, but it is clear that people don't want alcohol.
But just because there's no alcohol doesn't change the price point. The same high-end ingredients used to make alcoholic beverages are built into the price for ones without. Dale Manukduk, CBC News, Toronto.
If you felt like traffic in the city has been especially bad in recent months, there are numbers to back that up. New data confirms congestion is getting worse, with the city putting Lakeshore Boulevard and Lower Sherbourne Street at the top of their list of the most congested intersections, which came as no surprise to people we spoke to today. Meg Roberts has more, including the other spots that made the list.
Literally right before you came here, I was like, oh my God, why did we take this street? This was a horrible decision, but
it's just,
here we are.
There's construction everywhere. I don't know why, but it's the reality now. After COVID, it just got so much worse.
Lakeshore Boulevard and Lower Sherbourne, #1 on the city's most congested intersection list.
There's a million things I could be doing right now other than sitting in my car.
The next 4 most congested intersections all took place along Finch Avenue West. The city says it's largely due to the ongoing Finch West LRT construction. The city says the traffic volumes have returned to pre-pandemic levels, and every one of these intersections have different factors that contribute to congestion, like infrastructure design, road capacity, and construction.
Trying to move people around on a grid system and a road system that was built for the 1960s. And when you have that situation, things just don't work.
The city says it's trying to mitigate the congestion by adjusting signal timing based on traffic, expanding a program that helps manage traffic caused by construction, and cracking down on construction projects with unjustified lane blockage.
Each local councillor should be advocating for these types of things in their area.
So how bad is the traffic? Well, Toronto ranks 7th in the top 10 cities in the world. According to the traffic data company Intrix, Torontonians lost an average of 118 hours from commuting last year. That number up by almost 60% from 2021.
This is definitely a huge problem, needs to be fixed.
And the city doesn't believe those traffic issues are going away anytime soon.
The permits and the applications are rolling in like Niagara Falls.
That development, of course, leading to road restrictions and heavier traffic. Meg Roberts, CBC News, Toronto.
The 2 people charged in the killing of OPP Constable Greg Piersawa made court appearances today. A 25-year-old Randall McKenzie and 30-year-old Brandy Stewart-Sperry are each facing a charge of first-degree murder in the officer's death. Piersawa was shot while responding to a call for a vehicle in a ditch near Hagersville on December 27th. Police say he was ambushed and had no chance to defend himself. McKenzie and Stewart-Sperry are due back in court on February 21st. A man has been arrested after allegedly sexually assaulting 2 women he hired as massage therapists, and Toronto police believe there may be more victims. Alan Jacob faces 2 counts of sexual assault. Police say he posted online ads targeting international students looking for work. The postings were for massage attendants at Anna's Spa on Kingston Road in Scarborough. Police say the women were asked to attend a training session. He allegedly sexually assaulted the women during training. Anyone with information is asked to contact police. A woman who was critically injured after being hit by a light pole that had been knocked down by a truck almost 2 weeks ago has died in hospital. It happened near Yonge and Hillsdale Avenue, south of Eglinton, just before 3:30 on Friday, January 6. Police say a delivery truck pulled away from a curb, striking a light pole. The pole then struck an elderly woman in the head as it fell to the ground. The driver of the delivery truck remained on scene. No charges have been laid. Canada's annual inflation rate cooled to 6.3% in December. Statistics Canada says that's thanks to the big dip in fuel prices last month. But relief at the gas pump wasn't enough to ease the sticker shock at grocery stores. Anis Hadari takes a closer look.
Wholesalers like Roseland Produce see food price jumps before you do. Fruit and vegetables get shipped around Ontario from businesses like this, but the price of everything they need keeps going up, from labor to the food itself.
The costs now are pretty much unprecedented. We haven't seen them like this in years. We haven't seen them before at all, actually.
Some produce here has doubled in cost since before the pandemic.
We could be into the new normal of the price of produce.
It's a new normal that's landed on supermarket shelves.
I tend to watch prices all the time, and everything just keeps going up.
Anybody with a large family, that hurts.
It's hard to find vegetables that go on sale.
Vegetables, in particular, kept food prices soaring, up more than 13%. And even as overall inflation drops, experts say ongoing problems like weather and distribution mean food prices may not.
Saying that inflation is down still is, consistent with high elevated food prices. And I do think that we're going to be in this environment for a while.
And Canadians are not just spending more at the grocery store.
Unfortunately, now, in order to stay in business, a lot of restaurants and pubs are going to have to increase pricing.
Even if inflation drops, prices will continue to rise, just not as quickly. And anyone buying or selling food will need to adapt.
I don't think when prices go up, you ever really see prices go down. I think that's just the nature of being in business.
So food prices may keep getting hotter and won't be cooling off soon. Anis Hadari, CBC News, Calgary.
Here is a look at the dense fog that blanketed the city today. Much of the GTA was under a fog advisory with near zero visibility in some areas, making for a challenging drive home. Meteorologist Colette Kennedy joins us now with a first check on the forecast. And Colette, I couldn't see much through my window for much of the day with that really dense and thick fog.
Yeah, that's right. That low-level stratus, which is another way to say fog, definitely causing some issues because of the reduced visibility. And then we've, of course, got the wet conditions, too, to throw in there as well. At times, it's just drizzle, and then at other times, some more showers. Kind of dealing with that through the overnight. And then looking at what the temperature story is here, just from the daytime highs, is it January? Yes, it is. It's mid-January. And look at some of these readings here, London to Windsor especially. It probably looks more normal to you taking a look at Ottawa there with some of the cooler readings, in Kingston just below freezing in terms of those temperatures, but kind of nearly steady for the GTA through the overnight. And then it'll be even milder tomorrow. But off and on, we have to contend with some of this moisture still in the atmosphere. So even tomorrow morning, lingering a little bit of drizzle or some light showers. Some models want to give us a tiny break. I wouldn't hold my breath on that one, okay? Because what's going to be lining up is another system coming in, and that's going to have an impact on Thursday morning and beyond. I'll talk more about that coming up 5 for the daytime high tomorrow.
Thanks so much, Colette. More than 170 plausible unmarked graves have been detected at the site of a residential school in northwestern Ontario. The discovery was made by ground-penetrating radar at the former St. Mary's Indian Residential School in Kenora.
Canada and Ontario continue to say they are committed to reconciliation, to the truth, and to healing of our communities. I look forward to hearing if they will continue to honor these commitments.
Representatives of the First Nation met with members of the federal and provincial government today to discuss next steps and resources for upcoming investigations. St. Mary's Indian Residential School was operated by the Roman Catholic Church from 1897 to 1972. The National Center for Truth and Reconciliation says at least 36 students died while attending the school. Peel Police are hoping a new pilot project will help reduce domestic violence in the community. Now, when a call comes in for a nonviolent intimate partner incident, Safe Center response team staffed by a police officer and a social worker will go to the home. Tally Ricci takes a closer look at how it all works.
As cases of domestic violence continue to rise in the community, Peel Police and Safe Center of Peel say it's time to try something new to address it.
When neighbors hear there's something happening next door, they tend to call the police for support. And sometimes the police are walking in and there is a conflict. People are escalated. They're upset. They don't know how to resolve their problems.
Now the response to non-criminal, non-violent intimate partner violence calls will look different. Instead of just officers attending the location, the new pilot will dispatch a Safe Center response team, which will also include a social worker with experience in gender-based violence.
It's early intervention, so hopefully we can get in, provide services and supports before the situations start to escalate and they're in moments of crisis.
And especially trained officers that have not just intimate partner violence training, but empathy-based training, anti-oppression training, de-escalation, crisis response.
Police say it's a first-of-its-kind approach in the province. The families will also be followed up with after the incident and connected with community supports.
My initial thoughts were that, this was going to be another form of a Band-Aid solution to ease the minds of folks who are making some noise about domestic violence.
This survivor and advocate for families experiencing violence is skeptical.
Having a social worker there is definitely, it's also a start. It's not a complete fix. It's also been my personal and professional experience that sometimes social workers, or often social workers, aren't as experienced in dealing with instances of coercive control.
Peel Police say in 2021, they received around 17,000 calls for family and intimate partner violence, an average of about 45 calls per day.
Some of them are verbal disputes. They're ones that are at the beginning of the cycle. If there's an opportunity for us to off-ramp, we have the opportunity to mitigate risk for families and communities.
The pilot is set to run for 3 years, and police say they plan to use the data to determine next steps. Advocates like Leando will be watching closely.
There are so many avenues and so many pieces of this puzzle that also need to be addressed with more than just a 3-year pilot project. I really do hope that it creates more change and that it creates more education and that it becomes a bigger part of the police hiring process as well.
Talia Ricci, CBC News, Toronto.
A lawyer for the former president of the Ontario Public Service Employees Union says allegations of financial impropriety we told you about yesterday are bogus. OPSEU says it discovered millions of misappropriated funds after former President Warren "Smokey" Thomas left the organization last year. The union is also suing former VP and Treasurer Eduardo Almeida and accountant Maurice Gabay. The union is seeking to recover $5.75 million in funds and assets, as well as $6 million in damages. A lawyer for Thomas says that the statement of claim is riddled with errors, falsehoods, and untrue allegations, as CBC has not been able to reach Almeida and Gabay. Welcome back. Crews have been working hard the past few months to give Rogers Centre a much-needed makeover. The Blue Jays say major renovations at the stadium are on track to be completed by the time the Jays play their home opener in April, and they say it will make the ballpark a much more fan-friendly place to be. Greg Ross got a sneak peek today.
This winter at the Rogers Centre, batting helmets have been replaced by hard hats, and it no longer looks or sounds like a ballpark. It is very much a construction site now, but come April, they say all of this hard work will pay off.
One of our goals this year in this first phase is to start making the stadium feel more like a ballpark.
This is phase 1 of a 2-year renovation at the Rogers Centre. This offseason is mostly about improving the fan experience, and it starts in the outfield.
This is our outfield district, foul pole to foul pole, and we want fans to experience it.
One of the most noticeable differences are the bullpens, which have been raised up, putting relief pitchers almost face to face with fans.
Those players are going to be right in front of those fans when they're warming up. That's not necessarily going to be a good thing for visiting pitchers.
Yeah, I mean, we wanted to bring fans closer to the action, and the elevated bullpens are one way of doing that. And we want the visiting pitchers to feel the Toronto spirit from our home fans.
Hanging directly over the visiting bullpen is one of several new outfield bars, spaces where anyone with a ticket can gather, have a drink, and still have a good view of the game.
Experience to be distinct and unique. Like, each bar has the potential to be the coolest bar in the city because, like you said, you're watching a baseball game in real life.
2 more gathering spaces will replace what used to be the cheap seats. One is called the Rooftop Patio, the other Park Social, a family-friendly spot which will have the look and feel of a park.
If you're coming on Tuesday night with your friends and you want to be at a bar, you head to the Rooftop. If you're coming on Sunday with your family and you just want to chill and watch the game, you can head to Park Social.
For the first time since this building opened in 1989, all of the seats in the 5th deck are being replaced, and we're told the new seats are bigger and more comfortable.
Those seats were literally the original Skydome seats. The logos were on the side, and I'm pretty sure when we took them down, they crumbled. So these seats are slightly wider, and they are brand new seats, much more comfortable, and I think fans will realize that.
There is still a long way to go before this work is complete, but they say they will be ready for the Blue Jays home opener on April 11th. Greg Ross, CBC News, Toronto.
And you are looking at a live shot of the Toronto skyline, cloudy with showers this evening. Fog has lifted quite a bit and temperatures staying pretty mild. Currently, it is 5 degrees in the city. Let's go back to Colette now for a look at your extended forecast. And Colette, as you mentioned earlier, we do have another system making its way in later this week.
Yeah, so we get through one, and we're not even really quite through that yet. And then another one lining up to push in for the GTA. It'll be possibly Thursday morning commute, at least western sections, and earlier than that for southwestern Ontario. The elusive sunny break, a slight chance tomorrow morning. We could see the odd one. Consider yourself lucky. The best chance is actually into eastern Ontario because we still have some lingering showers. And then as this next one comes through, I'm anticipating a wintry mix around the Golden Horseshoe, and so that does mean some, at times ice pellets, mixing with some wet snow, with some rain showers. It's all going to be in there for us. So this is still kind of system 1 pushing away. Behind it, If we get a break in the morning, great. I'll be glad of it, but it won't last. And then when some more clearing comes, it's late in the day tomorrow, and the sun will have set. So we don't get the benefit of sun there. And in fact, here comes this next playmaker, and that's moving through in those overnight hours. So it does begin probably after midnight there, having an impact from Windsor and over towards Leamington, continuing to push towards London, starting as some wet snow before it gets into more of a mix, and staying at this point, it looks like, as more of a mix, even for the city, Toronto, and for all of the GTA, than it is rain showers. So watching carefully how that's going to track and have an impact on us. We get a break in between, and then more comes through as we go into the latter part of the day, Thursday, and that even lingers with some flurries into Friday. So I would say Thursday morning's commute is probably going to be tricky, and we'll watch what happens with the afternoon one. There's a look at your temperatures through the overnight hours. So not as mild as earlier today, but certainly, I mean, a few degrees above freezing through the overnight, and we're doing the same thing. And in fact, we're going to find that temperature with our daytime high tomorrow in Toronto up to 5 degrees. Normal this time of year is still right around -2, and so there we are, well above seasonal. There's the mix coming through, lingering with just flurries into Friday. I've put some sunny breaks in on the weekend, but I'm still not super confident about that. I'll keep updating as it gets closer.
And finally tonight, hundreds of people took their pets to church in Spain today. Yes, church. Bless the critters to mark St. Anthony's Day. He was the patron saint of animals. In Madrid, a priest delivered mass as dogs barked from the pews. No doubt about it, those are some pious pets. And that is our show for you tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you back here tomorrow night at 11. Have a great night, everyone.